What if every word you said and every thought you had came with a price tag? Because it does. Because your energy is a currency. And this concept is something that I've touched on in a couple of the other videos that I've shared in this empowered communication series that I've been doing. But really fully understanding this concept of your energy as currency is so vital. Because when you think of it that way, let me give you an example. If you see something that is plastic and you've read the reviews and you know that it has like a 2-star review because they break all the time, and this plastic thing is being sold for $20,000, would you save up your money and buy that plastic thing? Of course not, because it's not worth the price that is being asked for. And yet energetically, we do this all the time. We do this all the time. We let things steal our energy, whether it's, the person who cut us off in traffic, and we let all of that thought, and we're still, thinking about how upset we are that they cut in front of us or whatever, 6 hours later, ruminating on things, and just we waste our energy rather than being intentional and staying in that peaceful state where we are, spending it with care and with wisdom and choosing where we want it to go, what frequency we want to release it at, but being intentional in those choices. And again, you've also heard me talk about in my birthday video where I was talking about being your own witness. I talked about a time when it was challenging for me even want to be here. I was in deep depression, and in retrospect, I realized I was probably in severe autistic burnout at that time as well. It was kind of a perfect storm. And during that time, I went from having a lot of energy to having almost none. There is a theory called the spoon theory that has been used to sort of demonstrate this. And if you think of the number of spoons you have as how much energy currency that you have, I went from having, let's say, 100 spoons a day. And when you think of that, to shower may take, 1 spoon. To go out and have to go to the store and deal with crowds and deal with traffic might take 5 spoons or whatever. However your spoon flow goes, because it's different for everybody. So for some people, showering may not even cost a spoon. It's so just lightweight energetically for you. For other people, it feels very loaded. And so for them, it may be more. So again, it's very different for each person, but you have to be mindful of your own flow there and how many spoons something is taking from you. So if I notice that when I interact with one friend that I leave feeling very depleted, it doesn't mean that I want to end that friendship necessarily, although if there's unhealthy boundaries there and that's the reason why, maybe we'll come back to that in the healthy boundaries one. But I do want to be mindful of how much time I give that person. So for example, I had a friend for years who, and they're still a friend, just not as close, who went through a really hard season. And I am one of those people who's just fiercely loyal. So I am that person who's going to stay no matter what, which tends to sometimes get me in trouble. And this person went through a series of negative life events, which happens. And again, I had enormous compassion for them. And so I'm there and I am busy propping them up because I would want someone to do that for me. But she was choosing a negative polarity perspective. And again, I've talked about the polarity of your perspective. And so her thoughts were kind of spiraling out and getting very chaotic. But she was very certain that that was the only lens through which her life could be viewed. And it didn't matter how much I was trying to speak life and trying to encourage her. Hey, there's another way that you could look at this. Like, she was very committed to seeing things through that negative lens, which again, free will. She is perfectly entitled to do that. But what was the crazy train for me was that I was dragging myself along with her. And it took several years before I realized the impact that it was starting to have in my other relationships, because now I no longer had bandwidth to hold space for my husband when he'd had a hard day, or for, close family members and my best friend, etc. Like, I didn't have space for those people anymore. And my closest friend group started to lovingly say to me, and at the time, they weren't all friends with each other, which since has changed because of this experience, because they were both giving me, like, counsel in stereo, where they were like, we really think you need to rethink this friendship, because I think it's taking more out of you than you realize. And I realized it was taking something out of me. I just didn't realize how much until I finally drew that boundary, because things kind of came to a head, and they were insisting on interpreting my behaviors in a negative light as well. And I said, look, if you're miserable and I'm miserable, why are we still trying to do this? Let's, like, back off of the friendship. And so we both stepped away, and suddenly I started realizing, oh, I have space for other things now. I have room to hold space for other people, for things, because I just didn't realize how much it was taking from me. And again, like, this is where, if we understand our energy as currency, I was literally spending millions on this person, millions in energy currency, hundreds and thousands of spoons, right? But, like, I was not being conscious of the fact that I was doing it. And so it becomes really important for you to just check yourself. Like, is this something that I really want to be investing in? If it's one of your children, okay, yes. If it is some optional person who has decided that you're going to be, their receptacle for all of their negative feelings, no, thank you. No. So, like, it's learning, what it is, and being more mindful of how you're spending your energy, doing it with intention. I think that was the part that really surprised me, because I always think something is costing me less than it actually is. That's the thing I've learned about myself. And so that's something for you to learn for yourself. Do you always think it's costing you more than it ends up costing you? Or do you have a tendency to underestimate how much something's going to cost you, and so you overcommit yourself? Be aware of those things so that you can adjust things accordingly, so that you can take care of yourself, because you are a gift to the world, and we need what you have to offer. And so we need you in your best emotional state, so that you can be the gift to yourself and to everyone else that you were created to be. So think of your energy as currency and spend it wisely.